All right, we are going to get started. Sorry to be a minute or two late, but a little bit of time to make good use of the pretzels and snacks in the backs of the room. Thank you so much for joining us today for our briefing, Strategies to Lower Utility Bills Now for Households and Small Businesses. I'm Dan Brissett. I'm the president of the Environmental and Energy Study Institute, and I'd like to start with some thank yous. First, I'd like to thank our friends at the Alliance to Save Energy for providing the refreshments today. Thank you, Sapna and Jason and everyone. I'd also like to say that there are lots of people in the room today who work for organizations that work very hard to advance energy efficiency solutions. They're in the room today. I would just like to say thanks to them as well as we put the briefing together. They have a lot of knowledge and expertise. And hopefully we'll have some time for networking at the end of the panel today. I'd also like to thank Representative Paul Tonko and his staff for help with the room. EESI was founded by a bipartisan group of members of Congress, and since 1984, we have worked to provide information about the widest possible range of environmental, energy, and climate change topics. And we do that for policymakers as well as the public. We do our best to ensure that our resources are timely, relevant, accessible, and practical. We put a lot of thought into making these resources available before your bosses ask the tough questions. We know how that is as a congressional staff person, and we know that you need this information. What does congressional education look like? Well, it looks like this. We do lots and lots and lots of briefings. Recently, we've done briefings with the Business Council for Sustainable Energy about the Sustainable Energy in America Factbook. Last week, we were on the Senate side doing a briefing with the Federation of American Scientists about wildfire resilience. Next week, we have a briefing, an online-only briefing that we're doing about EPA's endangerment finding. Not that long ago, we worked with the National Association for State Energy Officials on a briefing about state energy policy and the challenges they're facing. We have more coming up about weather and climate data, water infrastructure, and we also do things that aren't briefings, like the super cool Climate Jobs Fact Sheet, super relevant today because did you know most climate jobs are energy efficiency jobs? It's true. Kudos to Nicole, my colleague, who worked really hard to put this update together. It's available on the front table. You should check it out. If you want to keep up with what we do, including our podcast that just dropped a new episode that featured Representative Sean Casten talking about energy productivity, you should sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter. It's called Climate Change Solutions, and you can find that as well as everything else that we do for free online at www.eesi.org. We want to make sure you have full access. Next up is just a quick slide with a survey. We'll put this up at the end as well. If you have a moment or two to share your thoughts, if you're in our online audience and you're having any issues or any ideas, please let us know as well. We have a couple great panelists. We'll be hearing from people who aren't physically here in the room today as well. We'll have time for questions at the end. If you're in the room, my friend Asta has a microphone. She'll come around and ask and get your questions. If you're in our online audience, you can ask us a question too. And the way you can do that is by following us on social media at ESI Online. You can also send us an email, and the email address to use is ask, that's ASK, at eesi.org, and we'll do our best to incorporate those questions into the discussion. And I also forgot to say that we're doing real-time coverage today on our Instagram story. So if you're not following us on Instagram, it's a good time to rectify that because we do a lot of great content. If you know me, you know that I love energy efficiency. I'm the person who gives out brownie points at EESI briefings anytime someone mentions building energy codes. I love this stuff. But it's not because I'm a weirdo. It's because I would very much like to avoid the worst outcomes of climate change. And energy efficiency is just about the best way to get started down the road to lower emissions and better outcomes. Now, if you're less concerned about climate change than me, that's fine. We can meet you where you are. Maybe you care more about economic prosperity. Maybe you care more about energy security. Maybe you care more about workforce development. Maybe all you want is clean and healthy indoor air. Maybe you want resilience to things like extreme heat and other severe weather. Maybe you just want to be comfortable at home in your living room on a day like today when it's a little cold out and it was really hot the last couple weekends or last couple days over the weekend. You know what's really good for that, by the way, is energy efficiency. It helps keep internal temperature and inside temperature stable. Maybe you just care about the power grid and you just want it to be happy and stress-free. Maybe you've got a thing for thicker wallets and heavier pocketbooks. I kind of like thicker wallets too. The list goes on. I'm going to stop there, but the list goes on. Those are impressive benefits. And our panel today will help us understand how these benefits reach households and small businesses and how those benefits improve lives. And given world events and how things are going here at home, to paraphrase the late, great Matthew Perry as Mr. Chandler Bing, could this briefing be any more timely? Did I say that right? Any more timely? No, it couldn't be. Now, our first speaker today is going to join us via pre-recorded video remarks because she was unfortunately unable to join us. But she is going to share a real-life example of energy efficiency in action in the context of a small business. Sara Polon is an entrepreneur who is on a mission to upend our food system, starting with soup. As the co-founder and CEO of Soupergirl, she has led the company from its humble beginnings as a local soup delivery business to a multi-million-dollar national food company. She is eager to engage with consumers regarding the story of the food from the farm to their plate. So my colleague Dano is going to come up here and put her video on, and we're going to enjoy it, and then we'll get back to the show.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sara Polon. I am the co-founder and CEO of Soupergirl. We are, if I may say so, the country's best soup company. We also have a whole line of fresh cut vegetables and salsas. And I just wanted to share with you all a little bit of information about the energy upgrades we've made to our facilities that have really been kind of game changers. Through the help of MEP and the great state of Maryland, we were able to add a linear chiller to our facility, and we also upgraded our fleet of vehicles to include an electric refrigerated truck. And the chillers are particularly interesting. I don't want to go too much into the weeds, but when you make soup, fresh soup, you have to make your hot product, your hot soup, get cold as quickly as possible. This is a food safety rule. And for years, we did this using blast chillers. So we'd put our soups on carts and roll them into these blast chillers and blast the soups with like -12-degree air. But as it turns out, air is really inefficient when it comes to transferring temperature and cooling and warming things. And water is much more efficient. So when we upgraded through these grants, we upgraded to a massive linear chiller. We were able to not only increase our capacity by approximately tenfold, but the energy required to chill each individual pint was drastically reduced. Not only the energy required to cool the water that cools the soup, but if you go to, on a per pint basis, the time required to chill these soups dropped in half. And so I was able to, over this past year, double my output and not increase my energy costs. And as a small business owner, that's a game changer, right? Because every penny counts. As we all know, things are expensive, labor's expensive. And when I'm able to have better control over my energy costs, a fixed cost, it really changes the calculation for my business and my potential for growth. And of course, when we talk about an electric truck, not having to buy diesel fuel every other day is extraordinarily helpful. That's all I've got.
All right. So Soupergirl is actually really good. There used to be one on M Street, and I used to go to it all the time. I think I still have the little punch cards. They're gazpacho. If you see it when it's in season, you have to get it. It's the best. So thank you, Sara, for joining us and telling us about how much money you're saving for your company from energy efficiency. That brings us to our first live panelist today. Shan Bulick is a certified Building Performance Institute home energy professional, energy auditor, and quality control inspector with nearly 2 decades of experience in energy auditing, building science training, and policy development for residential and commercial energy efficiency projects. Shane is also on the board of directors for the Building Performance Association. Prior to this work, he's carried out numerous ecology research projects in South Africa and San Salvador, supported by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the National Science Foundation. Shane's true passion is advocating for energy efficiency and weatherization in underserved communities, and I think you've got a pretty good opportunity to do that. So I'll invite you up to the lectern, Shane. It's so nice to welcome you to the briefing today. And don't forget your name tag.
Good. All right. Thank you so much for the time today. I certainly appreciate an ear that will listen to the contractor. That is why I'm here. I'm here representing the Building Performance Association and my company that I work with, Earth Forward Group. And I want to tell you a little bit about what energy efficiency does in the real world. So on the screen in this intro slide, you're going to see some photos of me So those top two photos are me serving in the United States Marine Corps. I'm an Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran and served in 2008 to 2009 in Iraq. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I got a bachelor's degree from Pennsylvania, from the Pennsylvania State University, and I couldn't find a job. I spent nearly 8 months working side jobs as a contractor, doing HVAC work, until I could land a job within weatherization, which, funny enough, for the weatherization folks that are listening online, they're going to resonate with this. It's primarily weatherization found me. So I built a career out of it. And, right now I'm one of 10% of energy efficiency employees who are veterans. We found a place here in the weatherization community. It gave me structure. It gave me things that I was missing. So I really appreciated the opportunity to grow my career on a very fast track in this industry. So about the Building Performance Association, we're a nonprofit industry association working to make America's homes more energy efficient, comfortable, healthy, and safe. What we do is we collect industry insight. We inform the industry on best practices, technology, and policy advocacy. We drive state and federal policies that grow the industry. We collaborate through uniting the industry through conferences, workshops, and events, such as the National Home Performance Conference, which is quickly approaching in Columbus, Ohio. In addition to that, we have business and professional growth sectors where we connect professionals, the skilled trades professionals, to careers in training and development that advance them within this community. So some of the folks that you're seeing behind me on the screen are the weatherization community. They're part of it. Moving from your left to right, you've got my friend Jess at the Attic Queen. In the center is actually myself training some high school students in a CTE shop in Pennsylvania. And on the right, you have MT Heating and Cooling Weatherization Company, which is based in Pennsylvania and New Jersey as well. Energy efficiency jobs are real. The BPA's 2025 Energy Efficiency Jobs in America report, it confirmed that there's nearly 2.4 million jobs in energy efficiency across 99% of all U.S. counties, most of an energy subsector. There's 280,000 jobs in rural areas, which is where I'm from. 54% of energy efficiency jobs involve construction and repairs. So those construction and repairs save lives. Weatherization and energy efficiency isn't just about saving dollars. It's not about saving kilowatt hours or therms. It really is about making homes safe. The pictures that you're seeing on the screen are photographs that my colleague took inside of a home. On this side, you'll see this is a draft diverter for a water heater. And on the other side, you're going to see a roof deck completely covered in mold. This is real. This is a real person's home. This is somebody who's been living in this condition. Without weatherization, it would have not changed. We're improving lives every day through doing this. In fact, in Butler, Pennsylvania, in a particular job that I did an energy audit on, I had discovered that there was a gas furnace in the basement that did not have a flue pipe venting to the exterior. It was actually filled with fiberglass insulation on the inside. The single mother with 3 children who was living in that home immediately went to the hospital, as I had recommended, and all 4 of them had elevated carbon monoxide levels in their blood. It saves lives, and it's very, very real. So energy efficiency measures look a little bit different to a weatherization contractor. They may even look a little bit different to new home construction contractors. So some of the typical measures that we install are seen on the screen here. It includes making sure that ventilation is to the exterior of the home and not just in the attic space, which is what you're seeing in this picture here. That stopped the mold problem instantly. You're seeing cellulose insulation blown into an attic where prior, the effective R value in that house was nearly at 0. You're seeing wall tops foamed shut using rigid foam board insulation. One of the particular jobs that I focused on was in York, Pennsylvania. It actually was one of, within the first year of me doing weatherization work. The story is quite impressive to understand the impact that weatherization has on every person. And again, we service thousands and thousands of homes every year. So in this particular instance, I had a single mother living in an end-row home in York, Pennsylvania. She was struggling with overwhelming energy costs. Her electric bill regularly exceeded $500 per month, while her gas bill topped over $400 per month. She had high utility costs creating and exacerbating financial difficulties and creating pressure for her to provide for this newborn child and for herself. There are real instances when that mother had to stand in front of her refrigerator or in front of her kitchen cabinet, decide, do I buy formula for my child or do I pay my electric bill or gas bill? Those are real dilemmas that many, many Americans are facing every day right now. Energy efficiency solves that. Energy audit findings that I did led to a customized plan to reduce energy use, lower the bills, and improve comfort. The home was 30 times leakier than a new home built today. So let that sink in. A new home today, for any building science nerds in the crowd here, is 3 to 5 ACH 50, depending on where you're at. This home was well over 40. So considered with all of these factors and the overwhelming health and safety issues such as asbestos and mold and roof leaks, I had to get really creative as a contractor. I worked with the electric utility to pull in funding. I worked with the gas utility to pull in funding through LIHRP and LIHEAP, and I worked with the county DOE WAP agency. We removed the barriers so that we could do the work. What a process it was. We got through it though. Then we went to work, we air sealed, and we insulated that house. We installed new efficient appliances. About 8 months later, after we had completed the job, I was on the same street in York, and I was walking in to do an energy audit, and I just happened to look out of the corner of my eye and saw her. She came running down the street. She gave me a hug and said, "Thank you. You changed my life in so many ways. You've made my house more comfortable. It's safer for my child and I finally got that job as a new nurse." Programs that support weatherization and energy efficiency are not abstract policy. They deliver real relief to real families every single day. There are contractors in the field right now as we speak. They are doing this work, and they are so important. So what can Congress do to help? Well, authorize well-funded weatherization assistance program, establish funding for all federal residential energy efficiency programs, support incentives like the home energy rebates program, and one of the things that we're also looking for is access to utility data that's going to spur innovation and evaluation. Really, you can't manage what you can't see or measure. So access to that utility data is going to help someone like me. So many contractors who are on this virtually, it's going to help them understand where the usage is going and how they can make it better. So for me, my career has been built very rapidly in the weatherization and energy efficiency sector, and I love every second of it. Dan did a wonderful explanation of how excited he gets about energy efficiency. And I am all of the above. I love it. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here. There are so many contractors out there that are doing this work every day. They are changing lives, and I quite often remind them when we're at the Building Performance Association's National Home Performance Conference, I have to remind them sometimes to shave the calluses off their hands from swinging the hammers or dragging the insulation hoses. I have to remind them that the work that they're doing is really humanitarian work. They are changing the lives of their neighbors. They are empowering some of the poorest members of our country. They're gaining energy equity. They're establishing justice within their community. They're really helping. Dr. Seuss said it best, unless you care a whole awful lot, nothing's going to change. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Shane. That was a great presentation. I really appreciate it. One quick follow-up. You said something, and you said it a little quickly, and I don't want people to lose it because I think it's actually kind of important to a lot of this stuff. You said ACH. That means air changes per hour.
That's right.
And the idea behind a lot of this stuff, Shane mentioned a lot of like the basic energy efficiency measures, insulation, air sealing, duct sealing, things like that. Basically, the idea, right, is that even in a room like this, there's an acceptable amount of air changes per hour, so that all of the air in this room being exchanged for something else. That can either be done naturally, like if you're in a tent, or it can be done because your house is really leaky, like your windows don't close and your door doesn't close and you've got whole, that kind of thing. Or it can be done mechanically.
Right.
Which is like what your bathroom fan is supposed to do. You actually move air from the inside to the outside. So I just wanted to make sure that we didn't overlook that, because I think one thing that we'll maybe talk about in the Q&A a little bit is that energy efficiency is, while it's great, it actually needs to be done, right? Like air exchanges per hour is not something that you can just like allow to like it doesn't happen magically.
Right.
Homes are machines, and they have to be built that way and then retrofitted that way as well. So I don't know if there's anything you want to say as a building performance expert, but.
Yeah, it's primarily, it's science applied to building a home or retrofitting a home. And that's ultimately the difference of, energy efficiency and weatherization programs from a standard contractor. That's what sets them apart, is they apply science that they've acquired through the Building Performance Institute and their certifications to do this. So it's very much taking a scientific approach and measuring and using diagnostics to actually understand how the air is moving through the home and manipulating that air to move the right way, the way you want it to move.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's also a good opportunity to just remind everyone that energy efficiency isn't the same as conservation.
That's right.
Right? Conservation is turning off the lights when you leave the room, something like that. Energy efficiency is not that. It requires a lot more intention, and it requires policy and programs and technologies that are all aligned in order for that stuff to happen.
And I'm totally happy to nerd out with building science if anybody would like.
Oh, we will. We will. Okay, so thank you, Shane. That was an excellent presentation. Just want to remind everyone that everything from today is available online. You can look at Shane's cool pictures in his presentation. You can go back and revisit his presentation, watch it. The webcast is archived. And eventually we'll have summary notes posted as well. You can find all of that at www.eesi.org. If you want to make sure that all of this stuff just automatically arrives in your email inbox, you should sign up for our biweekly newsletter, Climate Change Solutions, and you can do that as well. We're going to transition to our next video recording. Unfortunately, our next speaker is stuck in Wisconsin and wasn't able to get here today, but he was nice enough to give us a very nice video. And I'm going to introduce him. And while you're doing that, while I'm introducing him, this would be a great opportunity to also make your way to the back of the room and make sure none of those pretzels go to waste, because they're super good and they're thanks to the Alliance to Save Energy. So while I'm reading the intro and while Dano is putting the video back on, it's a good time to get a snack. Joe Fontaine is the administrator for the Division of Digital Access, Consumer and Environmental Affairs at the Wisconsin Public Service Commission, and he oversees the commission's work on a range of customer programs and federal grants. In his 13 years at the Wisconsin PSC, he's also served as the Focus on Energy Performance Manager and an Energy Policy Advisor. Before joining the Public Service Commission, Joe served the Wisconsin State Legislature as a legislative analysis. And Joe, I hope you're watching online. We're bummed out that you can't be with us in person, but you've given us a really great presentation, and I'm really looking forward to showing that to everyone today. So thank you, Dano. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad I can join you remotely. Thanks to the EESI crew for putting things together on short notice. The flight gods did not smile on me today, and I wish I could have been here with you. But happy to still talk remotely here and talk from the policy and regulatory perspective about the opportunities energy efficiency provides based on my experience in Wisconsin at our Public Service Commission, and can also talk about how a lot of what we've experienced really does apply for states nationwide. So Shane, I know, talked a fair amount about the Weatherization Assistance Program. That is not in the commission of our jurisdiction, or in the jurisdiction of our commission, and that's true for most commissions in most states. But what we do have jurisdiction over is ratepayer funded programs that are collected on customers' bills. In Wisconsin, the main one is Focus on Energy. It's a statewide program that's been in operation for 25 years. It's our anniversary this year. And so all utilities in Wisconsin pay into a central fund, and then we have contractors roll out standardized programs statewide. There are a few other states that run things like that, but they are a minority. It's more common in many states to have programs run on a utility by utility basis. There are some advantages to the statewide structure. One of them that's really been important recently is that being able to use Focus's existing statewide infrastructure has helped us quickly and successfully launch our home energy rebate programs. Wisconsin was one of the first states to launch both of those programs in 2024. But I mostly want to talk to you today about the impacts we've seen of energy efficiency in Wisconsin, and those are shared across states and across programs regardless of structure, whether that's cost effectiveness, the positive customer service experience it provides, and the broader benefits for the environment and the economy. So I'll start with cost. Always a core consideration across the full range of decisions the commission makes. Our core mission with efficiency or with anything else is to make sure the energy need is met at the lowest possible cost while maintaining good service. And if you are not using a unit of energy, thanks to energy efficiency, that meets that need just as well as buying a unit of energy that's been generated from any source. And when you think of energy efficiency as a resource like that and compare the costs to generation sources, energy efficiency looks very, very good. I've been in the industry for a while. I've seen many versions of this chart over the years. This is a very up-to-date one from a report published just last month. The chart has always shown energy efficiency at the top. To me, this is intuitive because any of those generation sources elsewhere on the chart are going to involve bearing quite a lot of capital cost to build the facility as well as the cost to operate. Offering a financial incentive through an energy efficiency program is a much simpler, less resource-intensive way to meet the same need. Now, you can't build the whole plane out of the black box. You know, you're never going to have enough energy efficiency to not need to use any energy. But this does, to my mind, present a very strong argument for saying invest in energy efficiency first, maximize your investment in energy efficiency, make the best of these low-cost opportunities before you meet the rest of the need with these other generation sources. I can talk a little bit more about cost effectiveness, and we've done a number of studies to show how cost-effective Focus on Energy is from a variety of perspectives. From a utility perspective, if you're thinking about it in terms of investment, $1 into the program, they pay about $100 million a year into Focus, gets you almost 5-to-1 benefit cost ratio and just reducing your energy costs that you need to generate from a plant or that you need to buy on the open market. That adds up over time. In the 25 years of Focus, we've saved enough energy to avoid the construction of probably at least one, if not multiple, standard-sized power plants. From the customer perspective, you're seeing the impact and you're seeing the impact right away. Our estimate from 2024, latest final numbers we have, just from projects done that year, just in the first year of having those projects in place, residential and business customers are saving more than $60 million. And that's 1 year. A lot of these savings are going to be long-lived. If you install a furnace or an air conditioner, if you put a motor or pump into your business, those are going to be operating for years, and you're going to be getting these savings each year, and they're going to add up. There are also broader benefits that we can document very strongly. On the economic side, you get hundreds and millions of economic benefits from Focus, well above the money that you pay in. One dynamic that's important in Wisconsin is that we're a fuel importer. We don't have any coal or gas or other fuels like that native to the state. Any money that you're spending on electricity generated from those sources, you're sending some of that money outside of the state to get that fuel. You're spending that on energy efficiency instead. You're keeping the money in the state. You're buying at a local retailer. You might be working with a local installation contractor, and some of those technologies may even be manufactured in the state. So that fuel importing dynamic is not going to be shared with every state, but we can also demonstrate a lot of other economic benefits that are pretty universal. The core dynamic is if less money you're spending on energy bills, the more money you've got in your pocket, you can spend it on other things. You can spend a lot of that locally. We can also demonstrate benefits from a broader social perspective in terms of reduced water usage, reduced emissions, which has environmental benefits as well as corresponding health benefits. So there's a strong cost argument. There's a strong investment argument here. People are paying in on their bills, but they're getting a lot out of it, and we can demonstrate that through those cost effectiveness numbers. At the same time, I think one of the other benefits of energy efficiency is it's really a positive service experience. It's not something we have to make an abstract cost argument to you about. It's something that works well for people, and it's something that law and policy in Wisconsin really tries to make sure is that positive experience. The foundation in Wisconsin statute is that if you're paying in, if ratepayers are paying in on their bills, you should be able to have opportunities to get something out of the program. It shouldn't matter if you're a homeowner versus a renter. Shouldn't matter if on the non-residential side you're a business or an industrial facility or a farm or a school. Everybody should have broad opportunities to participate, and Focus should offer a wide range of offerings, a detailed range of offerings, lots of special opportunities for special energy needs different customers have. In order to make sure you do have that opportunity to get out what you're paying in, and in a lot of cases, even more. We try to support that through additional commission policy making. We set Focus budgets so that business customers aren't paying for residential upgrades and vice versa. We encourage our program staff and set goals for our program staff to make additional efforts to reach people who haven't maybe necessarily participated in the program at high levels historically. And we also design our programs to make it easy and supportive to participate. For a residential customer, we offer free packs as an easy entry point to the program. We have really enhanced our online presence to make it easy to buy light bulbs and smart thermostats and other easily accessible products. On the business side, where you often have larger facilities and more sophisticated projects, we provide a lot of technical expertise that I think a lot of those customers will say can be as valuable or more valuable than the financial incentive itself. We call them energy advisors in Focus. You have people who are working closely with your facility staff as a customer to identify projects, to work through the technicalities of designing the projects and implement the projects, which can be very complex and can provide a ton of value over and above the money. I think we've been pretty successful in this. Our customer satisfaction rating that you can see there has been one that we've maintained for quite a long time. So touching on a couple specific customer success stories, unpack that a little further. A nice Wisconsin-specific example is a paper mill. Alstrom-Tillmany is in Kaukauna. That's in the northeast part of the state, kind of around Yay. And they're a good example of the value of having a long-standing, consistently operating energy efficiency program. They've done dozens of projects over the years across a range of technologies. Again, their energy efficiency, their energy advisor has helped them set priorities there and think about how different projects interact and build on things over time. This is paper mills like Alstrom-Tillmany have a strong history in Wisconsin. This particular mill has been in place since the 19th century. And Focus is making a real contribution to helping it stay competitive in the 21st. On the residential side, I'll just use myself as an example. I needed to buy a furnace a couple years ago, obviously an important purchase to live through Wisconsin winters. And Focus, even if I hadn't known coming in about Focus on Energy the way that I did, its presence and the way it informed the way my contractor as a Focus trade ally worked with me was very valuable for making an informed decision about what I was going to buy and really working through providing customer choice for the options that I had to work through that purchase. A core dynamic in an energy efficiency program is that the more efficient product will tend to have an higher upfront purchase cost, which is part of why you want to provide that incentive. The reason you want to provide that incentive is because the lifetime costs of the product, once you include not only purchase price, but the energy costs of operating it over 15, 20, 25 years, are often going to be lower and beneficial for the customer. That's a case that my contractor could help make for me. That really allowed him to talk about an array of options along the spectrum from less efficient to more efficient, and where those trade-offs are between upfront price and level of efficiency, and help me make a well-informed decision. The other thing I'd touch on that was relevant there and is relevant in a lot of technologies, especially on the residential side, is that Energy Star really is a core, provides a really valuable foundation for how we structure our programs. Wisconsin is one state of 50. We are obviously working with a whole range of product lists for things that are available nationwide. Energy Star is invaluable for providing that testing, that research that explains, that validates for people and explains what's above an efficiency threshold or not, and providing even that greater detail on the most efficient products versus the slightly less efficient products versus the ones below the threshold. That's really essential and integral to the way we run our programs. Certainly helps that customers recognize it. Also just helps in all the back end work that we need to do to design our programs in a way that we know we're targeting what is truly efficient without having to do our own endless product testing. So I think there's been a strong case for energy efficiency historically. Again, we've had success with Focus for decades at this point. We're coming into a new era in the energy industry. Load growth is looking to accelerate over the next couple of years. Utility bills are rising, and those affordability challenges may also accelerate. And I think there's a recognition nationwide from not only my commission, Commissioner Nieto has been a great leader on this, but from other commissioners as well, that energy efficiency is only becoming more important in that context. The cost argument is still there. Efficiency is the lowest reasonable cost, most cost-effective source of energy supply. It's where you should invest first. The National Association of Regulatory Commissioners reached a consensus on that in this February 2026 resolution. The other thing I'd want to emphasize from that is that they really said the research shows there's more energy efficiency out there that you can get. It is a totally fair question. People have asked me before. Focus has been running for 25 years. Wisconsin's been doing energy efficiency programming for even longer than that. Have we gotten all the efficiency? Have we picked all the low-hanging fruit? The answer is no. We do regular studies on this. Lots of other states do too. The core answer those studies consistently give is that there is always more technological innovation for us to catch up to. With things that program has been offering for 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to start saturating the market. It's going to become more of the standard. It's true that you lose some of the efficiency benefits from that long term, but there is always new technologies or more efficient versions of the existing technologies that can come in and replace them. And I'll close. I am not only from Wisconsin, but grew up in Green Bay, so I got to slam a Packer reference in there. One example of sort of catching up to that technological innovation, that every couple of years, there's always more efficient stadium lighting options, and the Packers have been a great partner with Focus on Energy. They've done a range of projects, but one of the things they do is change out every couple of years when they get those new opportunities. And I did not know until I started working on this program that you need a helicopter to do that. So thanks for your time. Really appreciate you having me here remotely, and I hope you enjoy the full presentation. Thank you.
That's really cool. Oh, where's the mic? Oh, there it is. It's right here. That's really cool. I assume the helicopter pilot was wearing a cheese head. It was probably yellow cheddar, I would assume, but that's pretty cool. Joe just mentioned technological innovation. Well, that brings us to our third panelist. Mark Trzyna is the regional manager I'll try that again. Mark Trzyna is the regional manager in Virginia, the District of Columbia, and Maryland for Daikin Comfort's distribution team. In this role, he works with 12 distribution centers and over 5,000 contractors, teaching them about Daikin's products and about supporting homeowners' energy efficiency needs. He's worked in HVAC distribution for more than 11 years. Mark, we love to feature Daikin in our briefings, and it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. I'll turn it over to you.
I want to thank everybody for this opportunity. Like we said, I've been with Daikin and I've been blessed to be with Daikin. If you don't know about Daikin, we are the global leader in HVAC. But only about 30 of those years have been in North America, where we've been trying to make a presence. Global HVAC is a little bit different than what we have here. We have bigger homes, ducted, air conditioners. But whenever you look at Daikin, we are innovators. We're innovators of 3 primary core technologies that I'm going to talk about, and we design and develop equipment made for North America. We focus on sustainable goals. We have sustainable efforts that date out to 2050, and that's what we focus on as we design and develop equipment for us here in North America, as around the globe. Heavy focus on indoor air comfort and also the quality of the air that our small businesses and homeowners are breathing. And we have the ability to enable communities. And whenever I say communities, it's not just communities as you think them back home. They're distributor communities, they're dealer communities. This is becoming a community of people with shared vision that want to accomplish common goals in the marketplace. And that's how we view things. Whenever you look at Daikin holistically, we have an HVAC side of the business, but we also have other things in our portfolio, such as air filtration, fluorochemicals, refrigeration, as well as oil and hydronics. But when today's topic came up, they tapped me because I've spent a ton of time in my career in this space. In North America, this has been my primary focus since 2011. We bring 3 primary brands in North America to the residential and small business communities, and that is the Goodman brand, the Amana HVAC brand, as well as the Daikin brand. We have just recently added a controls company to that portfolio, which allows us to enable and take our technology even further, delivering more efficiency and more comfort within homes. Our presence in North America. My team is 25,000 people in North America. Globally, 100,000. We have about $10.6 billion in revenues on an annual basis, $9 billion of investments in North America in the 30 years of our existence here. Any of the states that you live in, we're sold and offered in all 50 states. We have 25 production bases with 9 R&D centers, and we have 400 points of sale that bring our product to market. This is just a high-level snapshot of some of our key locations across the country. If there's any interest in learning more about any of these, please reach out to myself or anybody else. The 3 core technologies that I truly want to focus on that make Daikin a little bit different, and like-minded manufacturers like us bringing to this technology to North America, is heat pump, inverters, and refrigerant management. So let's start at the top. Heat pumps. Instead of producing heat, we're now moving heat from inside to out or outside to in. We have found efficient ways to do this through technology, which is safer and more comfortable and more efficient for homes. The inverter compressor is what gives us the capabilities of doing that. It's not on and off technology that ramps up and down based on demand of home. It modulates to the true conditions and the comforts of the home, saving energy efficiency. The refrigerant management and logic within these systems have also come a long way. We chose R32 because it makes our units more efficient in North America, and it was pulled out of our global platform. When you look at homes in North America, this is one slide that kind of opens my eyes because it's where I need to do the work and education with the contractor base that I have to help educate homeowners on the right decision for their home. The middle pie chart is we are predominantly unitary split systems. What that means is an outdoor unit and an indoor unit, and that makes up 73% of the market. 15% of the US is still made. They get their cooling needs from window units. Loud, inefficient, and sometimes a safety concern. And then 11% pull from our ductless platform, which is more of a global technology. But where we can look to save energy and help with homeowners' decisions is at 73% in the split systems. 80% of consumers are purchasing base efficiency systems. They're making these decisions not because they want to in a lot of cases, but their system just broke down on the hottest or coldest day of the year. Whenever we're pushing these systems the hardest is when they tend to break. Whenever they tend to break, we put a homeowner into a financial decision that they're not prepared to spend, and their main concern is getting up and running again. So that's base efficiency. They're buying the cheapest product they can in the fastest time they can get up and running. There's a 17% of the market which buys, and this is traditionally built and driven from rebate money, whether it's at the local manufacturer or national level, that helps influence higher end single stage technology as well as two-stage technology. And then that little sliver up in the middle where 3% of technology resides, that's our inverter market. And I want to spend a lot of time talking about inverter technology because that's what we take pride in. That's what can truly save energy consumption, but also add energy efficient to home. Two major forms of unitary products or split unitary products. The top one, which is a condenser outside, so in the summertime season, we're pulling heat from outside of the home and taking it outside. But during heating season, we're producing heat, usually through the furnace, oil, gas, or propane. And that system can be located in an attic, first floor, or basement location. Heat pump technology, we are both transferring heat in both summertime and wintertime. In the summertime, we're pulling heat from the home, taking it outside. Wintertime, we're pulling heat from outside, bringing it inside through the use of ductwork. Heat pumps, why don't we trust them? Why do they have a bad reputation? They haven't been around that long. Whenever we look at heat pump technology, it's only been around since 1970s. These systems were loud, they were expensive to run because whenever we needed to heat the most, they didn't perform. So 40 degrees, most people need heat at 30 degrees, 20 degrees, and the capacity drop on these systems relied on homeowners to produce heat from some other source. Excuse me. Sorry. So gas furnaces, electric heater kits, a less known or a more expensive option. Moving into the 2015s, 2020s, now us, along with other manufacturers, start to introduce inverter technology. Inverter technology changes the game through the evolution. So these units are now smaller, quieter, more efficient because now instead of a capacity drop at 40 degrees, standard inverter units have the ability to maintain capacity into the 20-degree marker. And some of the more enhanced units, it's not uncommon to see 100% capacity units at 0 degrees or even the -5s or 15 degrees, enhancing the comfort and efficiencies of a home. The other piece is connected technologies. These systems are now smart homes. Each piece is intentionally working together and harmoniously to deliver the right comfort and efficiency for the home based on the consumer's demand. And that's not just temperature demand, that could be a dehumidification demand or a filtration demand on the system. Some of the challenges that we have and where we can look to save money for homeowners and small businesses. We know that 40% of energy consumed in North America is in the heating and air conditioning space, along with water heating. As a homeowner or a small business owner, that part of your utility bill could be 50 or 60%, depending on where you live and how you live within your home. As you come down, gas furnaces are still pretty much the dominant choice of heating production in the Northeast. In the Northeast, we have 10 million gas-fired furnaces that are still in homes, which isn't a bad thing, but whenever you look at greenhouse gas emissions, people want choices. And with the modern heat pump that we have today, there might be more efficient ways to heat your home. So a gas furnace, the maximum efficiency that we can produce heat at is 98%. That's the most efficient gas furnace you can buy on the market, where we know that heat pumps have the ability to deliver 3 to 5x efficiency instead of producing heat to moving heat. And even down to the -15 degrees, heat is very abundant in the air. We can extract that with the newer technologies that we offer in HVAC equipment today and bring that into the homes. Inverter use. The best way I can explain the difference between a single stage unit and inverter unit is DC traffic. The unit on the right, left is our DC traffic. We're stop and go consistently. What does that do to the miles per gallon of your automobile? It derates it. And that's what the most common form of technology sold in the HVAC space is. So it can't hit a desired set point because it's either on or off. So it'll ramp on, exceed set point by 2 or 3 degrees. Once it's satisfied, it'll drop below set point by 2 or 3 degrees, kick on. Every single time it kicks on it's a strong hit on your amperage of your home. It's also demanding and loud. Where on the right, an inverter compressor has various different stages where it will modulate to the set point or desired outcome of what the homeowner wants in their house. So if you could drive 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour for 100 miles, or stop and go the whole way, it's like that. That's the best relation I can have. The same thing with the price of a kilowatt. Each hit is more kilowatt use at the home. If you look at some of our investments, this was our pride and joy in North America. We built our headquarters just outside of Houston, Texas. This is a $500 million investment on a 100-acre property. It's 4.3 million square feet of manufacturing under one roof. It also houses our corporate headquarters. It houses research and development, and is our home. We have 26 assembly lines down there. We employ over 10,000 employees there and distribute over and manufacture nearly 5 million units out of that facility annually. If you want something a little closer to home, our Daikin Sustainability and Innovation Center, 2-mile walk right next to the White House. Come visit us. We're at 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue. All pieces of technology that I just talked about in terms of inverter, heat pump, performance can be seen over there in a showroom tour. So come over and visit us. Don't forget, we have a full product lineup. So whether you're in residential, commercial, or industrial, we can help support you. We can help direct you with question and answers. And then the thing I'm going to leave you with is we want to help buyers make the right decision for their home. A lot of time, these are pressured situations that they might not know everything about what's available out there. Ourselves, as well as some of our other manufacturers around us, will offer buyer's guides. Go on to the HVAC websites, use these buyer guides because they talk through the technologies that you're choosing for being in your home and the energy that you could be saving year after year. Thank you.
Give your name 10 back. Great, thank you.
you.
Oh, that was such a good presentation. I kind of want to get into like a Groundhog Day situation where every day is just this briefing over and over and over again. Kind of a weird thing to wish, but I kind of wish that. Mark, I'm going to back up because I want to come to something that in your slides. I want to make a point, but while I'm finding that slide again, could you just describe a little bit what R32 is? It's not a droid. It's it sounds like it might be.
So R32 is obviously a refrigerant. The latest EPA regulatory decision allowed us to change from R410, which was the most common refrigerant used in the refrigeration cycle. And when we're choosing refrigerant, all that we do is moving BTUs from inside out. That's the gas lane or the bloodline to allow us to move the BTUs from the indoor to outdoor to remove or add the heat to a zone. R32 is a pure form of refrigerant. It's a single component refrigerant that allows us to do it in a more efficient way.
And so refrigerant is essentially a chemical that just has really good heat storage and release properties, and you can move it back and forth.
That's correct.
Yeah, great. So this was the slide I wanted to go back to. You talked about the pie chart that says unitary by SEER. SEER is seasonal energy efficiency rating, I think. So you talked about how most consumers are buying base efficiency. So that's SEER 13 or 14. And the higher SEER number, the more efficient something is. And these are all calculations that manufacturers do. I just wanted to point that out because if we'd been doing this briefing, let's say 5 to 10 years ago, what would the base SEER have been if we had been doing the briefing in like 2015, let's say?
So regionally, it's different north and south, but back in that would probably have been 13 SEER.
Okay. And what would that pie chart have looked like in terms of back then, in terms of 15 to 17 or 18?
Almost identical.
Almost identical, okay. So I wanted to make sure we understood that because those SEER ratings are driven by efficiency standards. And so you actually can't get a lower SEER rated piece of equipment from a company like Daikin. You can't go buy a SEER 9 or a SEER 10 anymore,
That is
right?
correct.
So in the future, as standards continue to increase, those are policy decisions that are encouraging that efficiency level. And then when you get to that black slice, or maybe it's a dark blue slice, that's SEER 18 or more. Are those Energy Star certified pieces of
Yes.
equipment for the most part? Okay.
The majority of them would.
Okay, hopefully we'll come back to Energy Star a little bit in the Q&A because I think it's important for people to realize that while Daikin is innovating on its own for its own reasons, it's also doing it because there are policy drivers that are encouraging energy efficiency in that direction. So I really like the slide. It was a really good one, and I just wanted to come back and make sure people understood what that dynamic looked like. All right, so I'm going to go back to the end. Oh, and you have to go to this. This is fun. You should talk to Mark and Henry about that. It's really cool. All right, so that brings us to Q&A. My friend Asta has a microphone, and she'll be so happy to bring it over to you if you have a question. I'll keep an eye out for questions from the audience, but to get started while you work up your courage to ask those questions, I would like to start by, Shane, well, maybe we'll start with you since it's been a little while since we've heard from you, but what's maybe a common misconception that you think might be going around on Capitol Hill these days about energy efficiency, and how would you dispel such misconception?
Boy, where do I start right now?
Fine. What are the
I'm just kidding.
misconceptions?
Sure.
Plural. Yeah.
Right. That was a total joke for the crowd here. I think, the biggest misconception right now contractors are dealing with is actually building trust with customers. Contractors are being painted as trying to upsell jobs right now. And I feel that's relevant in both the low-income weatherization world and also the new construction world. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what we really need to remember is that contractors they're not upselling the job to make more money. They're upselling the job because that's going to sell them more jobs. They're upselling the job because it's going to make the home more efficient, and it's going to cost that homeowner or the occupants of that building less money over time. And again, coming back to that, word of mouth is what sells jobs for contractors. You can put all the money you want into marketing, but if you're a bad contractor and you do a bad job, you're done. You're not going to get another shot. If you do a great job, you're really going to have a lot of other opportunity in front of you. And right now in the trades, that's happening really rapidly. So I think, the big thing, the energy auditors that are online here listening in, they're nodding and pumping their fists right now, hopefully in that attic, saying, that's it. That, when they walk into the door the first time, they instantly have to start building trust because of the messaging that's been placed on contractors right now.
So the idea might be if you have a really, really well insulated home, that's great. But if you have a really well insulated home with a high efficiency HVAC unit, that's even better.
Right.
And would be better. I guess the other thing would, if you have a great efficiency HVAC unit, that's great. But if you have an HVAC unit and well insulated, air sealed, all of that, you get more savings, you get more benefits.
Yeah, I think that's a common message across the U.S. right now to consumers. Right now, energy is a topic at every table right now. It's not just the low-income customers. It's really all. It's the working class Americans and even the wealthy right now, I believe, are probably talking about energy consumption and the bills that they're paying. So I think that's the critical thing to remember right now is that using less energy is helping Americans put more money back in their wallets.
Yeah.
And I haven't met anybody that doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, great, thanks. Mark, same question to you. What's maybe a misconception that you'd like to dispel?
I think mine is just an understanding in the HVAC space that technology has come a long way. The HVAC systems delivered today are not nearly, they outperform the systems of the past. The other piece would be the impact of inverterization. Inverter compressors have the ability to reduce energy consumption, make homes healthier, as well as deliver extreme comfort to homes that most people don't have the opportunity to see or feel. These systems are more affordable than ever and rarely promoted as such. So I think that tied with some of the connected technology that is now available. We're connected in every way and connected homes. And many manufacturers are bringing these connected systems to people's homes that can save and visualize the air that people are breathing, seeing, and how they want to feel in their homes. And it's very important to kind of spotlight those items.
Okay, thanks. I'm keeping an eye out if there's any questions in our audience. Oh, we have one, Asta, up here. Actually, why don't you catch this gentleman on the aisle first, and then we'll come up and do this gentleman in the middle.
Appreciate that. All right, I guess I'll stand up. May as well stand up. Inflation Reduction Act tax credits have faced an early sunset. The American Affordability Act, introduced by the member that I work for, Representative Mike Thompson of California, would restore them. Specifically, a consumer-side energy efficiency tax credit at a 30% deduction. Anyone can answer this question. Do you have an idea of how reliable these tax credits have been for incentivizing energy-efficient upgrades?
Great, thanks. Shane, you're welcome to go first, then we can hear from Mark if you'd like.
Short answer is very, very reliable. I think one of the things that I was referencing earlier really is the rebate programs that exist. And when that was, the energy efficiency industry took a blow when we lost that, and ultimately I want to say the contractor took the blow. Those rebates and incentives help us. They help us sell jobs. They help us change homes. They help us decrease the energy consumption that every American is dealing with right now. Like I referenced earlier, the discussion has shifted at every table in America right now to why is my energy costing me so much and how do I reduce that cost? And that doesn't matter, again, whatever social or economic class that you want to associate that with, it's all right now. So it was a devastating loss to lose the rebates. And quite honestly, we need them back because they make a huge difference.
Okay. Mark, any thoughts on the tax incentives?
Yeah, and I think I referenced it a little bit whenever you're looking at what technologies people are buying. And usually those HVAC purchasers are done under distress. It's not a comfortable situation. You're financially stressed. So 80% of consumers are buying base efficiency. Mm-hmm. So those gave our contractors a talking point, but also an incentive to raise a consumer into purchasing something that is going to last several years. HVAC systems in our market, it's not uncommon to see a 15 to 17-year life out of these systems. Other markets are a little bit more harsh than the southern climates and stuff like that. You'll see more of a 10 to 12-year life expectancy. And then more mild climates, you might see 20 plus years. So if we don't drive towards the right technology and hoping get that into the homes of North America, that ends up as a 15 or 20-year mistake that we missed the window on.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for your question. Go ahead, Shane.
Also, 25C was an important part of that. It was a huge part of that. And it ties together. Weatherization and energy efficiency we go hand in hand with solar. And the reason behind that is actually energy independence. That's something we're hearing an awful lot about right now across politics and across social media and really just conversation. The repeal of 25C was devastating to the solar industry. And really, I would argue that, again, that it's more devastating to the homeowner, to the occupants of the building who are trying to establish that energy independence, trying to reduce the strain on our grid and regaining that, stability.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to get to the next question in the audience, but your question reminded me of one, and that is, you both work with contractors. I bet contractors, correct me if I'm wrong, but I bet contractors really like certainty in terms of how they make their sales pitch to their customers, right? So my guess is there may have been some disruption in terms of how contractors deal with the people who ultimately make these installations, right?
Yeah, and especially whenever you look at the upfront purchase price, it plays a significant role in what people are buying and how they're buying it. The cost of these systems, not only from a manufacturer standpoint, but also a labor cost, have gone up dramatically on our homeowners over the course of the past 5 years. And prices that we used to see offered in the market several years ago will never be seen again. So the upfront cost is very important for, as well as back-end rebates.
And Shane, if you had a choice between sort of certainty about what incentives might be or available and no certainty about what incentives might be available, which one would you pick?
Well, that's a great question. I'd really need to think about that one to respond.
Being facetious.
Well, to your question, right now it's really the skilled trade impact is what the uncertain thing is. You know, the current political climate and the current repeal of things like IRA, it's causing contractors that specialize in weatherization and energy efficiency, or better yet, their employees. It's causing them to get unsteady and to feel uncertain about their job. And so one of the complex issues that we have is that there's a labor gap everywhere in HVAC, in plumbing, in carpentry, in electrical, you name it. We don't have enough skilled trades. And if you don't believe me, try and get a quote right now to fix something in your home. So the reality of it is that this is exacerbating our problem exponentially.
Okay, thanks. All right, well, let's go to our next question here in the audience, and then if anyone else has any, just raise your hand and catch my eye, and we'll call you next.
I'm Jason Ray with the Alliance to Save Energy. I'm happy to have you guys here today. Shane, I have a couple questions, and you might have just really touched on one of them, the second half of this, but was really happy to see, you know, the Weatherization Assistance Program reauthorization pass through the committee here in the House, 50-0. An unbelievable bipartisan unanimous vote.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the compromise to get that through the committee was to remove the weatherization readiness aspect of that bill. Now, I noticed in that slide that you had where the black mold was on the attic. That's something that weatherization readiness would address, is it not? And second off, is how do delays in funding, like we've probably had here on the Hill this year with the shutdown and some of the reconsideration of how we spend, how does that delay impact your business and impact that homeowner for whom you're weatherizing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so to answer the first part, absolutely the bipartisan support on WAP reauthorization was absolutely critical. And quite honestly, I spent the day yesterday on the Hill here lobbying for HR 1355 and S 2570 and S 1342. So we need reauthorization for FY27 for DOE WAP. And in addition to that, we need an increase of the average cost per unit, which, by the way, hasn't changed in 17 years, outside of basic 3% increases that we've been able to do, that DOE has been able to do throughout the life, you know. So to give you an idea, we started with an average cost per unit of $6,500 nearly 17 years ago. That average cost per unit is now $8,500 now. So some of the issues that we're facing in the contractor world is not just that they're leaving to go to the private sector from DOE WAP, but it's also that we can't pay a skilled tradesperson what they should be paid. So the issue that contractors are facing, and DOE WAP agencies in particular are facing right now, is that average cost per unit is critical, because the labor rates are calculated into the energy modeling that permits the agency to pay their staff. So if that number is low, they have no wiggle room to increase salary of an energy auditor or a field technician or a crew lead. So if that's happening, and we have this deficit in trades, skilled labor right now, they're going to leave. And we're investing tons of time and tons of resources into these staff to bring them in. We need to keep them here. And also, they're a top to bottom, bottom to top contractor. They don't just do HVAC. They don't just do carpentry. They don't just do electrical or plumbing. They do it all.
Mark, do you have any comment in response to the question? If you do, please feel free. Otherwise, you don't have to. Okay. No. All right. I'm keeping an eye out for questions. Oh, we have one up here in the second row. Thank you.
Hi. Hi. I just kind of wanted to know, what do you think are some immediate things that people can do to help lower their costs and become energy efficient? Like, what are things that people could just go out to their store today and buy to help improve?
Mark or Shane?
This one, yeah, this one's going to be a little bit tougher because it's to get an efficient system in the home. Like I say, I work with 5,000 contractors locally. An HVAC investment is one that I wouldn't say go out to the store and buy today, but I would start saying do your research. Understand what an HVAC system can save on your home. If you look at your utility spend, it's sometimes 50 to 60% of your utility spend. So early education, I wouldn't say race to the store and buy it today, but start just awareing yourself, using the buyer's guide, using online advice, understanding what the HVAC in your home looks like and choices you potentially want to make, and probably be a little bit more proactive than racing to the store and buying something.
Shane, please.
Yeah, sure. The number one recommendation I would throw out there right now is have an energy audit evaluation done in your home. Get advice from an industry leading professional. Energy audits are offered up through utility programs, like in my home state of Pennsylvania. Most of the utilities that are operating there all have this in place, and so they're also ratepayer funded for income qualified individuals, and for those moderate income. Home performance with Energy Star is a prime example of what this looks like for middle class America as well. So again, number one recommendation is to have an energy audit evaluation done in your home. But just some things that folks can do right now, a lot of the technology has actually made its way into the home, whether intentionally or unintentionally at this point. Prime example of this is LED lighting. I love being in the Capitol building and looking up and, the energy nerd in me is going, okay, there's so many can lights up here and they don't have incandescent bulbs in them anymore. Now they have LEDs. And it was CFLs, so, the compact fluorescent lights. That's something that can be immediately changed out, and we're seeing them phase completely away. In addition to that, appliances, what we in the industry call your baseload consumption. So it's what you're using year round within your home. That's where you can get instant savings, you can get longevity of the savings, and quite honestly, Energy Star is a huge proponent of that, and I'm going to coin that right now. Energy Star is critical to every consumer in America. It's very critical because it ensures the quality of the appliance that you're purchasing, whether it's HVAC or a refrigerator or a stove or a washer or a dryer. Energy Star is critical because it ensures that appliance has gone through incredibly rigorous testing, and you as the consumer understand that you're getting something that is going to save you money and be far more efficient than something that doesn't have that bright yellow sticker on it.
One other thing, we talked a little bit about it too, but a lot of the stuff that you can get that's more energy efficient, it's often you only think about it when something breaks, right?
Right.
Like if you have a perfectly good refrigerator in your home, it's kind of weird to go out and get a brand new refrigerator. But when it breaks, having those resources available so that you can make those good decisions is really important. And Energy Star and Energy Guide are two really important things. But if you're personally looking for things to do, your utility may also offer like direct install measures. So he mentioned LED lights, sometimes power strips, sometimes like weather stripping that might go under a door. Those are like simple stuff, but like you'd be really surprised. If you've ever walked past a door and you're like, ooh, there's a draft. Those are the kinds of things that you can fix pretty easily. And I bet your utility has some great resources about that. Joe, if Joe were here, he might have some ideas too about like
100%.
how they think about those kinds of programs and how cost effective they are. But
Yeah, and even the rebates too, to come back to the IRA, I promise I'm not going to keep harping that. But, you know, Mark had mentioned that 80% of consumers right now are choosing the base model. Boy, if we just had energy rebates that could help that. You know, the problem is that, you know, we've got this saying, and in one of the programs I work with, it's air seal tight, ventilate right. We want to get that. It's not just insulation. We want that house not leaking air. And then we want to insulate it so it keeps the air in. And then what we want to do is address the HVAC. And this winter, it's been a rather cold winter, especially here and in Pennsylvania. So if you can put in a cold climate heat pump, a higher performance heat pump, all of a sudden that heat pump's actually working when it gets to 0 degrees outside and we get bitter cold, your home's still warm and it's not kicking to that auxiliary heat or the backup.
thanks. We have a question up here in the front.
Shane, you had mentioned data access, and Mark, you had talked about, you know, all the different connected devices in homes. What would happen, right now in many states, people don't have access to their utility data, and if they do have access, it's cumbersome to get that access to give it to a contractor. So how would a easy to get access to utility data that could be transferred to, say, a contractor or an aggregator, how could that help your customers?
Want to go first?
Yeah, I can take that one. And whenever you're selecting an HVAC system, the one thing, if you have time to do, is look at the life cycle performance of it. So you might be buying off a upfront price, but you also have to talk about total cost of ownership. So, and a lot of total cost of ownership is driven through the kilowatt consumption year after year after year. If we can reduce the kilowatt consumption, that's essentially a rebate every year. So having access to data and understanding how the data is progressed over the years, whether the price is up on kilowatts or down on kilowatts or whatever. But for instance, in the state of Maryland, we did an example where a 3,000 square foot home that you're going to have for 15 years, the difference between an inverter-based system that you're going to spend an estimated 18,000 kilowatt hours, depending on living conditions, or a single-stage unit that you're going to spend 24,000 kilowatt hours on, the math needs to add up. So having an understanding of what the price of those numbers are helps you understand how much you're going to pay over the total life cycle.
Great, thanks, Mark. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, it's not just critical to the HVAC world, it's really critical to the whole home. As a system. Your home works as a system. Your apartment, wherever you live, it's working as a system. And really, quite honestly, data gives us access to actually figure out or disaggregate energy consumption. For those that are unfamiliar with weatherization or energy audit evaluations, your energy consumption is typically broken up into 3 categories. You've got your baseload consumption, which is those are the things that you're using all year consistently, your water heat, your cooking, your lighting, those types of things. And then you have a summer load for cooling your home if you're in a climate that needs cold. And then you also have a winter season where you heat your home. So that data is critical to an energy auditor in figuring out, okay, what's this customer's baseload use look like? What is the summer use? Do they have an issue with the cooling? Do they have issue with the heating in the winter? You know, going back to my certifications for the Building Performance Institute, this is Building Science 101, is figuring out how to disaggregate the energy into understanding the home as a system. So energy access to the energy data, access to the energy data, it's absolutely critical to weatherization and energy efficiency professionals, and I would actually contend all contractors should be looking at it. And the more access that we can get to it, the better and more accurate approach that we're going to have in that home.
But don't consumers get energy data delivered to their homes every month in the form of a bill? What's the difference between bill level data and the kind of data that maybe a utility would be able to provide to really allow those smart decisions?
Yeah, so the utility, I keep thinking of one in my mind right now, and I'm quite sure they're on this virtually at least. They actually go a step ahead, and I really appreciate what they do, and I wish more utilities would actually do it. They actually have algorithms built into their customer portal. And those algorithms actually provide that base load. They provide that summer. They provide that winter load. So ideally, as a contractor, that's what helps me. So, but a utility is not a utility. It's not a utility. It varies from utility to utility. So the access to the homeowner or the occupant of the building and really the access to the contractor is even further restricted if they don't have systems like that in place. We need those systems to do our job. And again, coming back to the theme of this is every table in America right now is talking about energy consumption. Give them factual information to talk about. Help them.
We have time, I think, for one more audience question. Does anyone have a question? I have tons of questions all lined up, but I would love to give someone in the audience a chance if they would like one. All right. So I'd like to maybe ask maybe a forward-looking question. Is there something, Shane and Mark, is there something that you see coming down the road that you're really excited about in your industry in terms of energy efficiency, maybe in terms of helping consumers save money and lower their energy bills?
I think a lot of what is coming down the pipe was just released by us. And it's a lot of the stuff that I shared. It's more so around consumer awareness about what exists in the modern heat pump world. So what you're going to see out of us as well as other manufacturers is enhancements for heating and cooling capacities or enhanced models. The connected systems are probably going to be something to pay attention to that can result in energy efficiency and comfort for homes. But I think as you see technology develop, you're going to start to see these inverters be more localized towards local markets. So whenever they were originally released, they're more of a national approach. And now we're starting to see pockets of, hey, let's look at the Northeast, let's look at the Southern market, let's look at out West and go from there. So.
And I assume the more specifically like regional or even state-based something is, the more opportunities there are for savings.
That is correct. And that's where we'll all benefit as we get those technologies into those right areas.
Great, thanks. Shane, something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think what I'm looking forward to is based on even the current political climate or the current demand on energy or the current needs on energy, the current cost of energy, is that in and of itself is going to drive energy efficiency regardless of intent. And that is critical right now. Awareness is getting created, like it or not. It's getting created because it's hitting everybody's pocket. So what is that awareness doing? Well, it's influencing the consumer. It's influencing the person that is standing in the home improvement store purchasing that new refrigerator or new freezer or new lighting or new HVAC system. It's essentially driving based on these energy demand costs, right? And so I think what's going to be very exciting to see in the very near future is this idea of a virtual power plant, which is something that comes out quite a bit in the industry. And so the most basic way to explain a VPP or a virtual power plant is quite honestly, our house does function as a system. Commercial buildings function as a system. We need to have control over it. Those systems are going to start working together to build the control. And I'm really, as an energy nerd, I get really excited about seeing the potential that's on the table when it comes to helping people understand and manage. As long as they have that access to the data, we can manage it.
Great, thanks. All right, well, we're just about at the finish line. Mark, any final thoughts, any key takeaway you'd like to share with our congressional staff audience today?
No, I just appreciate the time, understanding what a company like ours is doing in the marketplace and what we're trying to influence through sustainable technologies, I think is important. innovation's not going to stop from us. We're heavily invested in North America, and I encourage everybody to come over and see one of our centers. Come over to 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue on the 5th floor and see it for yourselves. And I think the experience that you'll have there is going to be a good one. I think you'll learn a lot for yourselves, and it's not just a PowerPoint presentation. It's not just words. It's a true showroom experience. So that's the one thing that I would encourage, and look forward to seeing more stuff from us in the future as we move forward.
Great, thanks. Shane, final thought?
Number one, thank you. Thank you for listening. You know, for the longest time, it felt like as a contractor, our voice wasn't heard. I appreciate those in the room that are making those voices heard and amplifying them. Your work means more to me than I could say. It means more to our industry than we could say. In addition to that, I think I'm really excited for the future, regardless of the political climate, regardless of really the challenge on energy efficiency right now. It's about empowering the American. And the American right now is asking questions about how they consume energy, where their energy comes from, and how they can have an impact on it in their own lives. I'm really excited to see that come back home. I'm really excited to see our industry drive the changes for every household in this nation. So, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Shane. That's a great place to end for today. Thanks to Shane and Mark. I think you all deserve a great round of applause for being with us today. Thank you. Also like to say thanks to Sara for joining us via pre-recorded remarks. And Joe, if you're watching, thank you for submitting your remarks as well. They were awesome. And sorry about your travel hiccups today. Hopefully we'll have a chance to have you back for another briefing in the future. Big thanks to our friends at the Alliance to Save Energy for sponsoring our pretzels and other snacks and beverages in the back of the room. The pretzels are really good. A lot of that is mustard driven. So if you're like, oh, I don't really like mustard, but try it. I think you might be missing out if you don't. So definitely, much like HVAC and insulation, two good things that go better together. We also are joined by a lot of efficiency advocates and stakeholders in the room today. There are several of you, hopefully staff in the room. If you're interested, hopefully we can have a little bit of networking while we're making sure none of that mustard goes to waste. And then finally, thanks to Representative Tonko and his great staff for help with the room today. I'd also like to say thanks to my EESI colleagues who made today possible, Dan O and Omri, as well as Allison, Hannah, Anna, Nicole, Laura, and Miguel. I'm here. Nicole and Laura are on our policy team. I think we're all wearing our lapel pins. They're probably out at the table. If you want to learn more about EESI, grab one of us and we'd be happy to talk with you a little bit more about what we've coming up. There's Nicole. She led the update to our climate jobs fact sheet. So if you're digging that, she's responsible largely. We also have awesome interns with us this semester. We have Asta and Andy. So thanks for all your help. And thanks to our videography in the back of the room for making us look so good. And thanks to all the great folks at C-SPAN who are with us today and helping us reach a broader audience. Thanks to you all. Check out our podcast episode. We just released our latest episode. It features Representative Sean Casten talking all about his efforts to improve the energy productivity of the U.S. economy. It's really cool. We've got great briefings coming up. Next Friday, we'll have an online-only rapid readout about the effects in the private sector on EPA's endangerment finding repeal. It's going to be a really great one. We're looking at briefings coming up about climate data availability, water infrastructure, and more. Save the date, June 24th is the Congressional Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Policy Forum, Expo Policy Forum and Reception. That's something that we put together with our Senate friends, Senators Reed and Crapo and Collins and Van Hollen. They're the chairs of the Senate Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Caucus. On the House side, Representative Emmanuel Cleaver's office works with us with the House Caucus. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be in this room as well as the Rayburn Foyer all day, 6 panels. If you love energy efficiency, if you love renewable energy, if you love clean energy, it's a great opportunity. We also have exhibitors. Daikin was a presenter last year and an exhibitor and was awesome. Definitely would love to have them back and have you back as well. And then there's a networking reception at the end of the day. The best way to keep up with all of this and more is to subscribe to our biweekly newsletter, Climate Change Solutions. You can do that as well as revisit today's presentation and all of our other resources at eesi.org. And if you have 2 minutes and you'd like to share with us your thoughts about today, please take our survey. We read every response, and it really does help us quite a lot. So thanks to everyone. Enjoy. It looks kind of nice out. I don't know what happened. It was snowing 4 hours ago, but it looks great out now. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and hope to see you next Friday at our rapid readout online only about the endangerment finding repeal. Thanks.